Hello and welcome to today's webinar, Integration Services for J.D. Edwards. My name is Glenn Johnson. I'm a Senior Vice President here at Magic Software Enterprises, and I'd like to welcome you to today's webinar. Magic Software is an Oracle Platinum partner, and we have achieved Oracle Validated Integration for J.D. Edwards EnterpriseOne, and Oracle Validated Integration for J.D. Edwards World for our Magic XPI integration platform. Which we utilize to provide a variety of different services that we'll be talking about in today's presentation. We hope that you find the information about services available for J.D. Edwards integration useful, and feel free to ask questions. We do have a question and answer box and a chat box that you can enter your questions into. The Q&A box is visible by everyone on the webinar, and the chat box goes only to the host and presenter, as you may designate. So please feel free to enter your questions there, and we will get to those at the conclusion of our formal presentation. As we begin today's webinar, we wanted to address the issue of service offerings around integration. This will include training, packaged services, service level agreements, custom development options available for J.D. Edwards, and PeopleSoft services are also offered by Magic Software, package services, service level agreements, and so on. Just a word about Magic Software. We empower customers around the globe with smarter technology, delivering a multi-channel user experience for enterprise processes, business, logic, and data. This is done primarily, as our name would imply, as a software company. Magic Software offers platform solutions that make all of this possible, and our professional services team is a globally organized team that allows us to deliver capabilities not only onshore here in the U.S. and Canada, where we're broadcasting from North America today, but also in countries around the world where we have branches. And we deliver services, of course, through a network of business partners who are trained in Magic Software's technologies as well. So Magic Software does operate in different countries around the world. We have customers in about some 50 countries. We have offices in 10 countries worldwide, over 30 years experience providing the kind of innovative technology that leverages metadata that really makes it possible to work at a higher level, a business level, an analyst's level, as opposed to focusing on line-by-line programming. You're able to focus on business needs, business rules related to your integration challenges, your development challenges in your organization. We've always taken a collaborative approach, which is one that involves conversation, listening with customers, strategic consulting. We have professional project management staff with very flexible arrangements for project delivery and staffing, everything from providing resources that are directed by your IT department to providing a complete managed service, and all points and combinations in between. And what we often find is that many customers like that combination of training and services more intense in the beginning, and then as they learn to do the integration projects themselves with J.D. Edwards, they like to take that on sometimes in their departments, and we're certainly very supportive of that approach. And we also provide the ongoing maintenance and support so that as new versions of software are made available, you are able to obtain those, and also, of course, the technical support that's needed is always available via telephone or via electronic communications, an organized manner for that as well. So Magic Software was established in 1983. We are a publicly traded company on the NASDAQ Stock Exchange under the ticker symbol MGIC. As I said, we have projects in over 50 countries. We have some 1,300 employees worldwide, something like 3,000 business partners, certainly millions of end users that utilize software applications every day that are integrated and developed using Magic Software's platforms. The company has been Gartner and Forrester ranked. We're very focused on empowering our customers and their success. We do this through training through Magic University, which we'll talk about some of those specific courses today, through 24/7 electronic support, through telephone support, through our global services organization. We have extremely solid, stable financials. These are available, of course, because of the fact that we're a public company. You can examine that and see that this is a valid statement with consistent growth in revenues and net income over a number of years. Also, thousands of successful projects around the globe across the U.S. and Canada and throughout EMEA and Asia Pacific as well. So this is good news for those of you who are JD Edwards users. There is an organization that provides integration services with excellent technology, specifically Oracle validated integration for JD Edwards World and Oracle validated integration for JD Edwards EnterpriseOne. As a company, as I said, we've experienced the kind of financial success, the upward charts and graphs here that everyone wants to see in order to know that the kind of stability is there from your service provider. We've also been recognized for these capabilities. We've received the SD Times 100 award for 5 years. We're right in the middle of the Software 500 chart. We're a 3-time SAP award winner. We're a Salesforce.com integration award winner. We have alliances and certifications from a variety of different organizations for their technologies and for our business relationships. And the customers are really where the stories are made. There are systems like the ABI system that has more than 1 million payees in that. We have the AutoZone account with 4,600 retail locations. Borg Warner has some 7,500 employees. Cleveland Golf with a network of 1,400 retail locations. Mizuno is one of our JD Edwards customers that has seen tremendous growth since implementing Magic XPI. Rapatoni, which services some 300,000 real estate professionals in the U.S. with enormous scale to a project of that nature. Rexall with some 1,800 retail locations. RoadNet with an application that's managing more than 200,000 vehicles per day, and we're providing integration to that, and so on. So these are good scale examples, good large customer examples. Sony, which is JD Edwards' customer that's experienced tremendous growth in their business that goes through the JD Edwards system since implementing the Magic XPI integration platform. Toto, which has done Salesforce to JD Edwards integration, for example. UPS, Vishay Electronics, and so on. So these are all good examples of Magic customers that are utilizing Magic Software's technology as well as Magic Software's services. The Magic XPI integration platform is a metadata-driven solution that allows you to more quickly integrate your JD Edwards ERP system to other software systems, applications, websites, and so forth. And the Magic XPA application platform allows you to more efficiently develop applications for multi-channel deployment, whether that be client-server, web, rich internet applications, and mobile clients, so across a variety of clients, and then of course connected with a variety of different databases, operating systems, and integrated through Magic XPI to a variety of enterprise systems. So as we approach working with a JD Edwards customer, there's an assessment of the application portfolio. Obviously, it's a given that we're talking about JD Edwards, but there are other operational systems, manufacturing systems, HR systems, your customer relationship management software, supply chain management, logistics systems of various kinds, product lifecycle management software, e-commerce platforms, various types of email and productivity and collaboration tools, ITSM, and on and on and on. And so there's an assessment of the application portfolio that is an important part of providing integration services. And this can be done in a formal way. This can be done by the customer and presented to us with your findings as to your priorities already in place. There are a variety of ways that that can be approached, but it's certainly an important part of the process of entering into an understanding of how services can help your organization in order to achieve the integration that you need to JD Edwards. Integration considerations that affect all projects come in a variety of ways with JD Edwards. One of the things that needs to be evaluated is whether people are really talking about user interfaces and user interaction or background processing and integration that takes place in the back end. And of course, this is why Magic Software offers two platforms. The Magic XPA application platform provides the basis for that user interaction if you're needing to create new mobile apps, for example, and a new channel that's just a mashup or a condensation, if you will, of critical JD Edwards information and other information from other systems into a single app, such as an order entry app. Then that certainly is the user interaction side of what's required. Background processing through Magic XPI integration platform would have more to do with moving information, triggering processes, creating an event-driven environment, and so forth for the re-engineering of your business processes so that you have smooth-running, seamless transactions of information taking place with multiple systems involved, and that's not always easy. Now, there's also the whole idea of whether it's an information request, do we just need to see information from these back-end systems, or are we literally interacting with and processing with these systems? Does it that communication need to take place synchronously or asynchronously? Is it a short-lived process or a long-running process where it could be hours, days, and weeks before a response would be routinely or normally expected? Is there great geographic span? What kind of business process re-engineering needs to take place? What is the scope? And then, what is the gap analysis? Are there APIs in place? Which ones are best to use? What middleware is already incorporated into the solution? What IT staff resources do you have available to apply to the project yourself, and in what ways do those need to be supplemented? So with JD Edwards, of course, just before we get into the specific services, we should probably talk a little bit about the technology that's being utilized for this. So the JD Edwards API allows us, in the case of JD Edwards World, to work with Z files, to work with proprietary flat file format that's a part of that Z file that we're all familiar with if we're in the World arena. And we have automated tools for dealing with that. We can provide you with the services that are going to get information in and out of even this older version of JD Edwards World A7.3. With newer versions of World, you have some business services that have been created to aid with the integration there. This is when we talk about Oracle validated integration for JD Edwards World, a good example of the type of API capabilities of World that are being utilized by the technology and the service team here at Magic Software in order to accomplish that. And then in the case of J.D. Edwards EnterpriseOne, there have been business functions available, as well as the Z files and processes from the past. But with business functions, of course, you have a more service-oriented methodology, and you can utilize the Magic XPI adapter to access all of your services. You can actually refresh that adapter in such a way that you have all the customization that's automatically brought in at the beginning of your project, and then define that and so forth. So one of the nice things about utilizing the Magic team for your integration services is that you're not only leveraging a team with a lot of experience on lots of other J.D. Edwards integration projects, but also you're leveraging a team that is taking advantage of technology in a way that is both approved by Oracle, but also is accelerated by the integration platform that Magic Software brings to market. So you're really going to get the best combination of what you're looking for there. Now, when you're working with J.D. Edwards APIs, if it's J.D. Edwards EnterpriseOne, the business functions typically are viewed as the best way to interact with J.D. Edwards, as opposed to using the Z processes and Z files, but they are there. And there will be times when those may be preferred. But most often, the default approach is to utilize business functions. With World, you're going to be wanting to work with a system like Magic XPI that allows you to work with the Z processes and flat files, because there's really no comprehensive set of business services available for J.D. Edwards World in the current version, and in older versions, there are none at all. There's simply the flat file process. So the platform that we work with, being the Magic XPI integration platform, has the capability to work with the business functions to transport, format, and transform XML. It can create composite application logic without you needing to do any programming. It's very slick, but you can call RPG, you can call COBOL, you can work with IBM commands, you can work with Java classes and objects, COM, C, C++, .NET code, and so on. You have the ability to monitor directories, parse the text files, perform basic CRUD operations on text files, so there's some low-level things that occasionally are necessary, and you can work with those as well. Business process modeling is part of the platform, so that it's easy to explain what's going on to business users, because you have a visualization of the process that you're orchestrating, and it allows you to do so in a real-time or asynchronous manner, as well as scheduled processes, which can be so important in terms of trying to accomplish the business objective. The system needs to include automated data mapping and transformation, and so we're leveraging that capability on your behalf. We're leveraging the ability to monitor those business processes once they're executing. So once the integration flows have been designed and your integration has been deployed, you can monitor what's going on in the back end. You have the enterprise security compliance, enterprise-grade scalability, SOA compliance, and support for mobile integration and multi-platform mobile deployment. Very powerful. So we offer the services that allow you to design, build, test, deploy, maintain, and support your application through that full service lifecycle. Part of that is going to incorporate training. In this case, we're talking about developer training, the training of developers to create applications for mobile, the training of developers to create integration between existing enterprise applications, J.D. Edwards, and let's say CRM or e-commerce or PLM, for example. And these courses are taught here in California. They can be taught on your site, and we encourage you to look at both the Magic XPA and the Magic XPI training courses, XPI being I for integration, and you have a variety of options there. So with our approach to professional services, we're offering project and engagement management to the customer so that you can we can manage the whole project from the high level for you. If you want to have a more self-directed and self-managed project, those options are also, of course, available to you. Ongoing application support, so that when you've had a project, you want to have ongoing support of that project. There are service level agreements, for example, that you can put in place to take that. There are all kinds of service offerings, data quality services, automated testing services, the 30-day to app mobile service, strategic consulting, an annual IT strategy plan, a SOA plan, IT governance plans, high-level assessments and recommendations, as well as application development, delivery and maintenance services, the audits, assessments, mobile apps, application development, various kinds of migrations, services that are offered. So we have a full professional team available there, and also the various kinds of integration training, on-site Magic XPI training, business process audits, small, medium, and large enterprise implementation services, maintenance and support can include things like block of hours. We have gold and platinum maintenance and support plans that are standard, and 24/7 on-call services. So your J.D. Edwards service offerings are going to include things like e-commerce order integration project or e-commerce inventory status project. You might choose that you need a CRM opportunity to order conversion or CRM address book integration. Quite commonly, the two of those are required. Sometimes people want to supplement that with CRM credit status and credit note integration. It makes a very nice availability of information for the sales team. Address book data deduplication processes. With PLM systems like Agile PLM, work order integration with J.D. Edwards is a very popular requirement right now. All of the Agile customers that run J.D. Edwards are frankly coming to Magic Software and asking for these services. There's a field service work order systems like ServiceMax that need to be integrated to J.D. Edwards. Project management software such as Oracle Primavera, where again order integration is a common requirement to ERP. There's the whole area of mobile apps for J.D. Edwards. There are a few mobile apps available from Oracle. Most of them are view-only apps or else very specialized areas. And there are a lot of gaps in what's offered. So if you wanted, for example, an app for your Salesforce to enter sales orders, Magic can get that to you. We call it a 30-day to app program. So once the service requirements or the requirements definition is in place, then it's 30 days basically cycle that we identify for delivery of that app, so for your testing and so forth. Now the other areas are warehouse management systems like Manhattan Scale, EDI integration, projects of various kinds of compliance integration services have been implemented. We have a number of Nota Fiscal Electronica implementations in Brazil, for example, or electronic invoice implementations in Mexico and Argentina, and so on. So there are various types of international compliance regulations that necessitate integration that goes beyond what some of the systems do natively. And there's also a very interesting area of the pre-upgrade integration refactor. What do we mean by this? Well, as you're going from version to version, let's say you're currently in EnterpriseOne in the 8.x, and you're going to go to the 9th. You haven't made that upgrade yet, but as you're preparing for it, you realize that one of the things that's been holding you back is that you have a lot of point-to-point manual integration that you've done over the years, and you're sort of afraid that that's going to break when you upgrade. This is a very common concern, and one that we can help by actually doing the integration refactor before the upgrade. What that does is it ensures that things keep running after the upgrade and from day one. And so this is really powerful. So what you do is you bring in the Magic XPI integration platform, you refactor or redo your point-to-point integration to a platform-based integration approach, which ideally we all would have done in the first place, but in the past it was just simply too expensive. So using this affordable platform with the affordable services that Magic Software is offering through the more efficient sort of metadata-driven approach that we're talking about, you can redo those point-to-point integrations now under your 8.x, and then on day one, when you go to the 9s, it's a one-day project, and if we charge you for 1 day, we're cheating you because it's really a 5-minute effort to simply change over. Of course, there's some testing that you're going to want to do, but you're just basically saying, okay, we're no longer using this J.D. Edwards system, we're using this new one, and the integration keeps working. So this is really exciting kind of capability for you to prepare all of your integration in advance so that on day one everything's just working seamlessly the way your users will expect it to work. So we call that an integration refactor or pre-upgrade integration refactor. Now what I'd like to do at this point is invite Or to join us, and Orgat has many years of experience with the Magic XPI integration platform, and what he's going to do now is talk to us about J.D. Edwards integration and what's possible with the Magic XPI integration platform. Or?
Hey Glenn. Hey everyone. Yeah, so as Glenn mentioned, I wanted to show you integration to JD in Magic XPI. Just want to show you a very short process. Let me share my screen. And that very short process is basically integrating anything into JD. And that short process is currently running here. It's running in debug mode just so that I can show you. I will speak and I will explain everything that we see here in the studio after we see an actual integration process. But I wanted to show you the ease of use of the Magic XPI JDE adapter and connector. So what I'm integrating is basically just a web form. I've created a template web form. It can be anything. I mean, you don't have to use our templates. That's a Magic template, and I'll show you. We'll change it together later, and I'll show you how Magic creates such a template on the spot. But the most important thing here is to wait. Let's just change the name here. So the most important thing here is how this web page is basically doing stuff in JD. It's basically providing another interface into JD. Now I'm taking an HTML template or a web page. It can be information coming from another application, from another database. It can be data coming from another application, not from a database level, but in an XML or a template or a flat file or over the web using HTTP posts or GETs. Now these are all things that Glenn mentioned. I just want to show you how easy it is to do. So basically this is a web page that I insert a name, an address, a city, a phone, and a state. And by clicking a button, I call the Magic XPI integration platform, and I get a new address book in JDE. Okay, we'll take that new address book, and as you saw, I just renamed the name, so we expect to see a new name in JDE. Let's do a find in the address book revision for the new number that we got, and the binar user that I just created is here, and if I'll select it, you'll see it. The different details that we've added to it. For example, if I look at the mailing tab, and so on, so 123 here street in LA, and the zip code and country are currently hard-coded, but that's part of what I wanted to show you today. So, how did we do it? How did we take information from our web page and basically created it in JDE? We do it using this platform, the Magic XPI platform. Now it's running in debug mode. I'm going to stop it because I want to show you and explain exactly how to get into passing information between JDE and other applications using this integration platform. The integration platform, as you can see, it's a code-free environment. It's a design tool, drag, drop, and configure of these connectors and adapters that we bring out of the box that can connect to JDE E1 and Word, but also have various adapters and connectors to other applications like Salesforce, SAP, SAP R3, B1, Dynamic CRM, SharePoint, and so on. You can see a whole list of our adapters and connectors online. We have, as of last version, about 67 adapters, if I remember correctly. So what we do in order to talk to an application, to talk to JDE, is we take an adapter, we take a JDE connector, we drag, drop, and we click configure to configure. What is it that we are configuring? We are configuring business functions. Basically, all we are doing is we are calling a function on the JDE server. Now, why do we call functions? Let's stop here for a second. Let's describe why are we doing that? Why do we have an adapter to call functions? Why not go directly to tables? Magic XPI is built on a Magic XPA platform that many of you probably know. Magic XPA is the application development platform. It has native gateways to talk directly to databases. It can be MS SQL, Oracle, DB2. We have native gateways for those. If you have any other database, you can use an ODBC driver to talk to any database that you want. But because JDE usually sits on DB2, Oracle, or MS SQL, we have those native gateways. Why not go directly to the database and push data into JDE? The reason is we do not, as integrators, insert data into an application directly into the database. It's an application database. It has a lot of data integrity validations, internal processes. Once you insert a record into a table, you want to be able to do the data insert into an application the same way as the application user would do. When I use JDE and I go through the JDE UI and I want to create a new address book, basically what I do is I call a function in JDE to please take the data that I just wrote here and call a function with that data in order to insert information into the address book table. So what we want to do is use the same functionality. The adapter that we have is built around the dynamic Java connector that JDE provides, which lets you call all the business functions, all the functions in general, in order to insert data into JDE. What you have to do is specify the module name and address and business function name. Click OK. And this is the screen that you get where you basically connect source and destination application. My source application is the HTTP variables that I got from the web page here. My destination is JDE because that's the type of component that I've selected. And as you can see, what I get as a result is the variables coming from HTTP, the address, city, name, phone, and state. And I map those by dragging and dropping a line between source and destination. I can do it in multiple levels, so I'll just show you. And what I map it into is arguments of the business function in JDE. When I call JDE business function, I have to pass argument to that function. That's the name of the function, and this is the entire list of arguments. You might need some of them, you might need all of them, depending on how you implement JDE internally. But if you want to pass information into the JDE function, all you have to do is connect source to destination line. And as you can see, I connected name to name, line to line, address line to address line, city to city, state to state, and phone number to phone number. And that's how we got the information in JDE. Now, to prove that it is that simple, I want to add another argument to the HTTP page, and I want to add that argument here, and I want to do the call again. I want to show you how easy it is to deploy as well. So the first thing I'm going to do is go into the service of the HTTP page that we have and add a new argument. The new argument would be, for example, zip code. And that's it. By simply clicking that, the 3 or 4 buttons by a simple configuration. If I'll go back to this page and I'll F5, refresh it, you see the zip was already added to my HTML template. Magic does all the preparation for you. There's an HTML template that you can use. Of course, you don't have to use it because let's face it, it's not the prettiest thing I've ever seen, but the template is there. The template for the call is there. Not only that, the argument that you'll be sending needs to be captured in Magic. The listener to that argument is already there as well. So now I have to go to that trigger and basically add a zip to catch the zip. That's it. That's all I have to do. I click OK, save. Now that I have that argument in my JDE step, I can add that argument to the list of mappings. Click Map and replace what I had as hard-coded mapped value into postal code in the function to come from the web page. Where was my postal code? Here it is. I'll click OK, save, and let's deploy. To deploy a Magic XPI project like the one we are doing here, all I have to do is go into the build menu and create a build an executable version of that project. As Glenn mentioned in his presentation, there's a really cool feature about developing in Magic XPI, which is everything you do here, everything you develop is metadata. You create XMLs, basically. There's an XML describing this step, and an XML describing this step, and there's an XML describing this flow and this business process. Everything is XMLs. That means that if you want to share, if you want to move to another version, to another server, everything is doable because all the code is just metadata. Magic provides a server that will run that metadata in Linux, Unix, of course Windows. So if you want to change versions, change operating systems, it's all super easy. Now, of course, for the server to run the metadata, I have to build an executable version of that metadata, and that's the build that we just did, which means I can run the whole thing in debug mode now, and that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to click play, and now basically I have the server deployed, although it's in debug mode. I have the server deployed, and it's running in the background. You'll see the status of running here on the left bottom corner in a sec, and basically I can go into this page and enter new data. Let's call it I have a new daughter, her name is Ella, and I just realized I've never used her name in a webinar before, Magic. And the address is 321 Der Street, and the city is LA, and the zip would be 1122 just to make it unique, and the phone would be 888-57744 or whatever. And then by clicking the button, I basically call Magic XPI the same as I did before. Now, this is running in debug mode, so it's a bit slower. We're going to have to wait for the response. But after we get the response, which will take about 20 or 30 seconds, because there's a lot of internal information when you run in debug mode, eventually I will get the address book number, and I'll be able to go to the address book revision and do a search on the new number. And see that the new user was created with all the information. And as you can see, the postal code is no longer the postal code that was hard-coded. It's coming from a web page. I'm going to stop here with the actual demonstration. I'm going to talk theoretical stuff. So what if you call function and you do call functions in JDE and you do everything the way the JDE does from the UI, you have the full capability of adding, changing, and deleting data from the JDE server. Now the reason I'm saying adding, changing, and deleting is those are the prefixes when you call a function, so you better get used to it. A for add, C for change, and D for delete. You can also do an I for inquiry. I can use a business function to get data out of JDE. But do I really have to? That's a good question. I don't necessarily have to use the function every time that I just want to grab information from JDE. When I want to insert, yes, I will use functions every time, because when I use functions, I use the JD functionality, and I know that I won't break anything when I insert. But when I read, I can do whatever I want. I can't break anything if I just read information. That is why we also have the native gateways that I mentioned. Basically can let you get information from JD into any destination application that you want, and that is using our most simple and yet prettiest tool, which is the data mapper, this component here. And I'll drag it and I'll drop it here on top of this one just to show you something. You know what I want? I'll create a branch, and I'll call it my mapper sample. And when I click OK, you'll see that we can create branches within the Magic XPI Studio, because the idea is to create a process that will be kind of like a Visio process, kind of like a decision tree process. If JD address book retrieval went OK or creation went OK, go down this branch. If not, go down that branch. Okay, so we can create conditions on branches, and it's all very management oriented when you develop. We have a process that came down from management. We will write the process based on that, and it's all very intuitive. So condition that 1 equals 2, go down this branch. Otherwise, go down that branch. And when you go down that branch, you basically have our data mapper tool, which has the same source to destination screen that I've shown you before in the JDE step. Only nothing is preset. You can use whatever type of source you want. As we said, it can come from XML, databases, flat files, whatever source you want. Let's use database because I want to prove a point, and it'll be my JDE database. And the destination is also not preset. I can map that into different arrays, which are ODSs and UDSs, different templates if I want to answer in an HTML format, or whatever template format I want. Variables because I want to use it in other programs, XMLs, flat files, into a destination database because another application is waiting for it. Whatever I want to do with it. Let's create a flat file out of it just to make it simple. So to define my flat file, I just have to create a few nodes. Let's make it name 1, phone, and address. And the data will come from a database. And when I query, I can basically do everything. Just select the database that I want to work with. It's my JD one. I can write my own SQL query. I can use a wizard if I want to. And for example, just to look at the same object that we were just working with, when we call a function to create an address book, we basically enter data into the FO101. Now, as you can see, there are a million tables in JD, but let's select the one that we want, FO101. And what we want is just the address book number, the name, and I don't know, what was it, phone number or whatever. So just select the columns in JD that you want to work with. Let's make it simple. Let's take the company. I can, of course, set workflows. I can write a SQL query that fetches based on multiple joins or whatever. Click Finish and click Map. And what I get as a result is the same mapping screen you've seen before, data coming clean directly from the database into whatever destination I want to map it to. And I can connect source to destination, thus creating a flat file, and using another step later on to send it by email, to put it in an FTP folder, to do whatever I want with it. So the idea is to see that the level of connection to JDE within an integration project is, of course, using functions because that's the right way to insert data, but also on the database level if I want to extract data. And it's very easy to do both. Eventually the interface is the same. Programming wise, I didn't have to write a single line of code in order to extract or to insert data into JDE. And deployment wise, eventually after I do all of that, it's just Ctrl-Shift-B to create a build, to build an executable version of my project and to run my integration project on whatever server you want it to run on. One final note, which is a very important note, whenever we do anything with JDE, a lot of customers ask me at this point, what about conversions? JDE, for example, has a lot of internal data types that are unique to him. It can be something as simple as if you write California instead of CA as a state in JDE, it will not accept it because JDE works with the symbol CA of a state. It can be something a bit more complicated like the JDE dates, which are Julian formatted. No other application that I know of holds Julian formats dates. So we need to have the capability of converting in between. We have it here in this mapping screen, say this is my date in JDE, or if I can select a different column, I can of course do that. It'll be, I don't know, something that I need to convert. I convert when I pass it to my flat file or to my destination application by double-clicking, clicking the FX button, and then Magic provides 600 or so functions dedicated solely for the purpose of integration. For example, datetime format. Datetime format is a function that we provide that can convert the datetime format between XML format, meaning day, year, month. You understood what I said. And the JDE format. And say, for example, you're not familiar with our functions. First of all, you can see a short description of what are the arguments for that function. The cool thing about the fact that Magic has been around for a while is that everything is documented. Stand on the function, click F1, and you'll see an exact description of what needs to come in, what will come out. For example, if you pass these arguments with a standard date, standard time zone, and the number 2, you'll get a Julian format date as a result. Now, of course, new developers do not know all of that. You can go directly to our function list and get a description of all our functions and drill down into one of them and understand what it is doing. So that's basically an overview of how we integrate into JDE. If you have any questions, I would love to answer. That's it. Glenn?
Great, thank you very much, Or. I appreciate the demonstration, and we now throw it open to your questions from the audience. So if you would like to enter your question into the question box or the chat box, we'll take a moment now to answer those for you. So we'll give you just a little bit of time here, and look forward to responding to any questions you may have. While we're giving them a second there, Or, I have a question. You mentioned cross-platform capabilities. Maybe you could say a little bit about the IBMI or iSeries component and what that allows customers who are in that environment to do.
Yeah, sure. So we've been talking solely about the JDE1 and calling functions. Glenn mentioned a lot the capabilities that we have in the JDE World component. JDE World is working with an older version of JDE, and the interface there is not function interface, it's a Z-tabled interface, meaning you write into temporary tables, then there are internal processes in JDE to load information from Z-tables to actual tables. How do we call those functions? How do we, we need to have the capabilities of, after writing to the Z-table, to call RPG programs basically on a DB2 server in order to load from Z-table. There are other RPG programs that are available for me that I want to be able to use in my integration, not necessarily with JD, with anything else. I want to have the capability of doing stuff on a DB2 server. For that, we provide one of our connectors is a System-I connector, which has the same interface as any of our other connectors, meaning you can drag, drop, and click configure. You can select a methodic interface or an XML interface. The default one is a methodic one, and I want to use that one in order to show you something. Basically, you can clear a queue, create a queue, delete a queue, call a program, which is basically what we want to do usually, run a query, run a command, retrieve data, and so on. Every capability that you have directly with an RPG program from any other client is available from here. People use it a lot in the JDE World environment, but not necessarily. So the capability is there, of course.
Excellent. And Craig is asking, does this live on a PC or on the AS400?
So the server itself, the Magic XPI server, can run wherever you want it to run. If you want to call RPG programs, even if you run it on a Windows server, meaning Magic would run on a Windows server, on a PC, or wherever you want it to run, there's an EasyCom process that Magic provides that will run on your DB2 server, and that's basically how Magic communicates with your DB2 RPG programs.
So it can be either in the IBM I or on a Windows server, or as you said, a Linux or Unix.
Yep.
Okay, very good. Let's see, I think that's all the questions that are coming in right now, Or. So thank you very much for your presentation, and thanks to all of you for joining us. We look forward to seeing you on another webinar. For follow-up, send us an email at info@magicsoftware.com or give us a call at 949-250-1718. Have a great day.
Thank you.